here. I'm pretty used to singing in front of people. I've done theater for the majority of my life, but this is the first time that I've been given an opportunity to speak about something that I'm super passionate about. So I'm really excited, and I'm glad that you guys are here to share this with me. I feel like my topic is pretty self-explanatory, but it's also one that we can overlook really easily and forget about in our daily lives. So I'm excited to share my opinions with you, and hopefully we can go out feeling better about everything we're doing. So, look, nice, okay. Perfect. So, jumping right in, I want you guys to take a second about thinking about what your definition of success is. So just think about what you personally believe that success is, and what do you need to do to obtain it. So we'll just take a couple seconds to think about it. And while you're thinking about it, when we talk about what you need to do to obtain success, I'm going to click through some slides of people that we know really well, and we know their faces. But thinking back to your own personal definition of success, do you believe that it takes fame, or maybe a business leader? You need to be a business leader to obtain success? Or maybe you need to be athletic? Or do you need to be rich? Maybe humanitarian? Or do you believe that these everyday leaders, students, families are people that obtain success, or the definition of success? So while you're thinking about your own definition of success, and you can continue thinking about it as we keep going, I want to show you what I think society's idea of success is. I think of it as a huge checklist of a bunch of things that we need to do and we need to accomplish before we can even get to the idea of feeling successful. And to me, that's overwhelming. It's like a list of things like you have to be skinny, or you have to always stay on your diet, or have a 4.0 in all of your classes. Whoa, Josie, shaky. All of these different things, like, what else? Being rich, right? All of these different things that society puts in our minds that we need to be perfect at to be able to obtain success. But thinking about this checklist, thinking about everything that society makes you think you need to be successful, how many of you feel pressure from society? You can raise your hand. I want to see your hands, actually. I feel pressure. I know I'm extremely overwhelmed anytime I see or think about this checklist. So how can we erase that pressure? How can we know that we're just successful no matter what, right? So the real definition of success is the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. Now that feels so much better to me. Thinking back to everything that you've ever accomplished in your life, thinking back to just, graduating high school or even coming to college, anything that you've accomplished in your life, forgetting about the pressures of society, forgetting about that checklist, and forgetting about the people on the slides before that we view as so successful, just simply thinking about your accomplishments, how many of you feel successful? I feel successful. I graduated high school. That's a big deal, right? Crazy. Perfect. So how can we disconnect that? How can we disconnect society's idea of success from all of those pressures to just simply knowing that we're successful by accomplishing the simple things that we do in our daily lives? Well, I personally have thought of 3 simple things that I've seen in my own personal life help me be more successful. So number 1, change your mindset. This one is the hardest one of all. Changing your mindset can be super tricky, especially since it's so powerful. So your mindset can break or make any kind of situation you'll let it. So what happens if we all have our own goals, we all have our list of checklists that we want to accomplish personally, and what happens if we fall? What if we don't always meet our goals? What if we don't always reach what we want to personally do? Are we going to just give up and be like, okay, well, that goal wasn't for me, I'm just going to step back and not try that again, right? Or are you going to change your mindset, look at it a little bit more positively, realize you're not perfect, and wake up tomorrow working harder? Which one's going to be more effective to you? Number 2, be a little selfish. So I feel like society has its extremes on being selfish. You have to either be viewed as extremely selfish or extremely selfless. And it's like there's no in between. But I have a personal story. It's nowhere near Dylan's. You're incredible. Holy moly. My personal story is I graduated high school and I lived at my parents' house for 2 years. After I graduated high school, I went to culinary school and I was working at Chick-fil-A. I know, riveting. I know, it's holy food, I know. But it was one day I decided, I woke up and I said, this is not the person that I want to be. I do not want to be stuck in a kitchen for the rest of my life, and I don't want to be working under, the commercial cows forever, like not what I want to do, right? So I decided to change my entire life. I decided to think about myself a little bit and be a little selfish. And that's where I decided to drop out of culinary school. I got a new job in Spanish Fork. I moved to Orem into an apartment with a girl that I barely knew, and I changed my major to communications. And if I hadn't taken the time to think about myself and think about who I wanted to be in the future, I would have never been able to get to where I needed to be. I look back on the person that I was, even just a year ago, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're like two separate beings entirely. And I'm not telling you to be the extreme of selfish where you can only think about yourself all the time. That's not true. But you need to love who you are and who you're becoming before you can help anyone else. You have to be selfish before you can be selfless. You need to know your strengths, you need to know your weaknesses before you can go teach, before you can go lead. You need to love what you're doing before you can teach anyone else. And the last one is keep going. So hard days will come. We look on the slides before of all of those successful people that I viewed as successful. Like Betty White had a GoFundMe for in 2016 for her just not to die. That's pretty successful. I view that as super successful. But we look at those people and we think they've never seen a single hard day in their lives. They've never seen failure. But that's not true. They just know how to get back up and keep going. And if you don't fall, how are you going to know how to get back up? So those hard days are going to come and failure is going to strike, and that's okay. But getting up, changing your mindset, being a little bit selfish, and just keep going. I want to end with a quote by another very successful man. I think he's pretty cool. But the quote is, "Success at anything will always come down to this: focus and effort, and you control both." So if you get anything out of my speech, all I really want you guys to know is that you're doing well. In anything that you're doing, in everything that you're doing well, and you're killing it because you're just being yourself. Society likes to make us think that we're never going to amount to anything, that we're never going to be close to these people or do anything successful with our lives. But that's not true. Simply by just knowing that you're accomplishing your daily things and having a goal and a checklist for you personally means that you're successful. It's just viewing yourself as successful. So I believe that if you change your mindset a little bit, view it a little bit more positively, and being a little bit selfish so that you love yourself and where you're going, and to keep going, then we may be able to change society's idea of success to be a little bit more successful. Thank you.